can we talk about navigating purity? Let's talk about sex, everybody. And so, calm down, relax. But I want to take a moment and I want to walk through navigating purity. And I can be long-winded. I don't want to be as long-winded. I want to keep us moving here. Okay? So navigating purity, I want to slow down for a minute. I just want to remind you, at Encounter Conference, we had overwhelming feedback to talk about sex. Help me, Pastor. And so, well, Pastor Ben, I think I'm pretty good. That might be awesome. If you're pretty good, share what you're doing with me. I want to know. I want to take it. I want to get better. I do not think that I've arrived. I saw your plan. I hate it. Okay, it's the best 7 I got. Craig Rochelle would say, share your best 7. Here's my best 7. Maybe you've got an 8. Stop holding out. You know what I'm saying? So don't withhold. Like, gimme, my name's Jimmy, all right? And so share what you've got going on. I'm not saying that this is the best. I want to give you what has worked. We've got 3 campuses. We've got a couple hundred youth students and in the youth group from middle school, and then high school. We separate our ministries, but not at all campuses. And so there's just dynamics that we have that we navigate as a church. And so I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it, but this is a great way that's working for me. Okay? It's working for our community. And so at Encounter Conference, the feedback was, will you help me navigate this topic? And so what I would encourage you is steward it. And maybe you're going to come across another minister that needs a little bit of help and nobody's talking about it, so help them talk about it, okay? Helping leaders navigate this topic with your youth groups, with parents, with your kids, navigating purity, okay? So I want to take a minute. I want to slow down as we navigate purity. It's 10:11. I want to do my best to be about 15 minutes, okay? And so I can be on rabbit trails. Honey, I know you'll be ruthless. Hold me accountable to that, okay? And so remember, this is scary for parents, okay? Just take a minute. Take the youth pastor, the youth leader hat off for a minute. This is scary for parents to think about their baby. If it's their firstborn, there's a lot of emotions that are coming up. When you say, I want to talk about sex, and we've got this message, we've got this series, okay? There's a lot that comes up. So how you approach it and how you handle it matters. So I just want you to take a minute, get out of your head, leader, get into your heart. Have empathy for a moment, okay? Have empathy, and imagine in your mind's eye that you're putting on kid gloves to handle this delicately. You're handling it very carefully. Well, when I was younger, you know, what we walked through, it's amazing I am where I am. I wish I had a leader that told me the things I'm going to tell them. When I was younger, as a minister, can I just be very transparent with you? I had so much pride. And I had this thought that I need to help your kids because you're the ostrich with your head in the sand. You don't know what's going on. I know what your friends are talking about. I'm in the group chat. I'm studying them. The average kid in 3rd grade, 8 years old, watches pornography. So you mean I'm going to talk about it in 5th grade? I'm behind the 8 ball, okay? So let me tell you that is not a good spot to start. That is dangerous thinking. You're not the parent, okay? I'm not the greatest influence in their life. Mom and dad are, okay? I see them for 1 hour, and I share it with 20 other kids and a couple other leaders. You know what I mean? And so mom and dad are making that lasting impact. So how do I help mom and dad? So if you feel that way, if you feeling that way right now, lean into me a little bit and let me encourage you. That's pride surfacing, okay? And so that's pride. That's not good. God resists the proud. You need God in your ministries, okay? And so that's what you need. So we want to help mom and dad win. There's a greater impact when we help mom and dad win with our kids, okay? We'll see greater results in our kids' lives. So As you're preparing your heart, I think that's very important on how you're going to be talking about this and the kid glove analogy. Also remember, this is not anatomy. This is not birds and the bees. Let me say it this way. This is a really great message to not have an illustration. Okay? Stay away from an illustration. It will not work well for you. Okay? Don't do it. I haven't done that. Okay? But I could just imagine, and we're just going to stop there. Okay? But listen, we're talking about, we're not talking about anatomy. We're talking about what God says about the topic. So we've got to have the right state of mind for the topic. I'm preparing you before I go through this plan with you, okay? And so get your mind into that. God has a great plan for your life when it comes to sex. And so what helps me, help my families in the church, help the students, help the parents, help the leaders. It's a scary, I got to have the talk. We're not having the talk, anybody. We're not having the talk. We're just sharing what God says. And so God's got a great plan for your life. I literally say this. If you want to write this down, I think this will help you. But God's got a great plan for your life when it comes to sex. And if we don't learn the truth, we will unintentionally learn a lie. And the truth is, God's plan for sex is to stay pure in the context of marriage and only marriage. And once we know what truth is, as Christians, now we can talk about what boundaries look like so we can stay pure sexually in thought and in action. So I want to say that again because I think that's a really great way to frame this. God's got a great plan for your life when it comes to sex, and if we don't learn the truth, we will unintentionally learn a lie. And the truth is, God's got a great plan for sex, and it's to stay in the context of marriage and only marriage. And once we know what truth is, as Christians, now we can talk about what boundaries look like to stay sexually pure in thought and in action. Parents get so nervous. Oh my God. First baby, right? Okay. Third baby, they're like, please talk about this with them all day. Okay, I've raised 2 other heathens. You know what I'm saying? And so the first one, they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have the talk. Oh, I got to talk. That's not the talk. This is just what God's plan is. That's it. And for parents who are uncomfortable in the context here at church, at our church, so just to share with you, we have a website that we created at our church called the Parent Pathway, where we help them navigate this topic. We actually talk about it in 6th grade. In our context, because year over year, I'm telling you, parents, like, knives out. I say purity, I say sex, they're like, cut them, like, get the pitchfork, you know what I'm saying? And so, but in our context, in our area, our closest benchmark in a secular realm is Seneca Valley School, and they start talking about sex. They actually talk about sex, not what God says about it. In June, it happens right before school ends. It'll happen in May. So April, May, or June, in 5th grade at Seneca Valley, they start talking about sex, and they send home a letter, and then they do not tell you what they're going to talk about. And so in our context, we're actually a little bit behind. Parents don't know that. I would like to talk about it in 5th grade. And we do talk about it in 5th grade on a yearly basis in our curriculum. We do. And so sometimes we'll take a year off of how God's leading us in our curriculum, and we write our own curriculum, okay? And so, but I'm just trying to share with you our rhythm, but it's yearly on our Parent Pathway, and we have milestones for parents, and they talk about this with their children in 6th grade. We text all 6th graders and their parents. We don't text the 6th graders, we text the parents, and we say, hey, we have a milestone for you. It's on our website. All of the resources that I gave you is on this QR code right here. So the Navigating Purity on the back, all these hyperlinks, You can click them, scan the QR code, go there. It has all of our resources. You can get everything I got. You can get videos. There are videos. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. I got to speed up here. Are you guys okay? All right. So we help. The reason why I told you about the website is we help parents navigate this topic. You're not having to talk. We want to share what God has to say about it biblically, okay? And so one thing I remind our team, our leaders and our parents is, hey, remember, the strongest emotions you have will eventually be your actions. So as you think is the way that you're going to be. And so for leaders, I remind them that when you go to group today, this is not anatomy. You're talking about boundaries in your thought life so that you can make it to the finish line in thought and in action. Okay, so we're helping our kids. That's where we prepare them. So I want to be very practical with you today. I'm going to share with you how I feel that it'll help you win. And before I share this, I want to talk to you about how I failed for just a second, because I'm not telling you like, well, here's this great plan. Let me give you 3 quick things of how I really screwed this up. Again, 9 years in ministry. 1 year, Alyssa and I decided it would be a really great idea. I don't know where this idea came from. That we would do a 4-week-long sex series. Holy moly. Let me help you. That was the worst March of my life. Okay? So don't do that. You know, at least it hasn't worked for me. Maybe you've got something that's cutting edge. It's funny because I actually have, what did you talk about, Ben? I actually have those topics on the back page, and now they're just resources to leaders. That's it. And we do 1 week, and I equip leaders. They can, here you go, guys, you know? And so, but, you know, and so we talked about God's amazing plan for your life and what he wants best for us, and the best is to wait till sex is in its proper context. And so that was week 1. Week 2 was the things we feel tempted to hide can unintentionally become our master. And then we talked about, what does it mean to date? We're dating. What does that really even mean? What does that mean? We held hands one time. I don't know. We hang out in my parents' basement. That's a bad idea, okay? So as a married man, that's bad. We'll just stop there. And so setting up healthy boundaries, that probably is really hand in hand with that other thought, you know, okay? And so, but all the hyperlinks actually are there to help you. And they're all in video form. We did everything in video form. I'm going to explain that here in a minute. So don't do a 4-week-long sex series. That didn't work for me. And I twitch when I think about even what I have on my screen right here. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. The one time, this is another area I screwed up. Be unified as a team and as a staff. Be unified, okay? Scratch your colleagues' back, if you will. And so one time as I oversaw middle school ministry, I wasn't overseeing the high school ministry at this time in my tenure. And so well, he did a sex series. I didn't feel led to do sex. I was still learning, okay? I was getting my bearings straight to do it well. Well, he did it. And we weren't recording the podcast at the time. We didn't have video message, none of that. And one kid, mom and dad made him go. He didn't want to go. We all have kids like that like mom and dad dropped them off. It's babysitting club, you know, your problem, take him. And so he was so ticked that he was there. The minute he walked out, he went right to mom and dad and said, Pastor blah, 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 took out a banana and talked about sex and then showed us how to practice safely. That did not happen. And I knew what the message was. I wasn't in the room. We would never do that, right? It was crazy. What the heck? So obviously, this is a kid being a kid through the lens of a kid, not wanting to go to youth group. We all have those moments where kids say the wildest things. And you're looking at mom and they're saying, you did. And you're like, your kid lied. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm amongst friends. It's all right. You know, you feel the pain. And so, you know what I did? This parent comes to me. They're so mad. They're dropping their other kid off at the door in the middle school ministry. And I said, we would never do that. And I said, I can't believe he did that. You should go talk to him. Okay, don't do that, all right? So I'm just telling you where I've messed up. I am not perfect, all right? So I would not do that now. I would guard the team, and we're in unity. And so can I just be real with you? Some of you are like, I'm judging you, Pastor Ben. All right, so I get it. Anyway, I have one more story, and then I'll go through this real quick, okay? We had this woman in the ministry, and I mean, she was just like the thorn in my side. She was the backpack mom, the helicopter mom. She was like Jesus. And so at the time, I only oversaw our middle school ministry. And so we had about 200 kids at the time. She had 2 kids in the ministry. And she thought, like, okay, when you got a backpack mom, a helicopter mom, you know, they're so fearful, they want to control. And it was hard to decipher what's your motive. Like, are you genuinely want to be my friend? Talk about friends. Like, do you want to be my friend, or do you want control in the ministry because you got a motive and you want to steer what I'm doing here? And so, the Holy Spirit dealt with my heart, and I remember feeling like this lady, when I talk about going all the way back up to the beginning of how I started this, like, hey, you are not the biggest influence in your kids' lives. Some of what I'm about to say came from this moment. When I looked at her, listen to this pride. This was so terrible. I was like, you do not know how to raise your kids, and I could do this so much better. That is not a good place to start, okay? So you're probably doing better than me, all right? So if you've never said that, you're doing so much better than you're winning, all right? So that wasn't good. Anyway, I got so many stories around this woman. Man, if I could just tell you. Twitch. Oh, Ben, that's real bad. I've prayed for her. I've forgiven her, y'all. Okay, I am not harboring unforgiveness, but I got some stories with this lady, okay? And so what's funny is we're actually good friends now because we kicked her out of the church. And so she's not allowed to go to church here. You still do that? Yes, we do absolutely do that. And so, you can't live right, play right. You hey, listen, you can't be divisive. And so we kicked her out of the church. And I got to tell you, she's a real pleasant lady to call now about the things that she's good at. And so because we don't have kids in the ministry. I can't tell you that sigh of relief. Anyway, okay. All right, you okay? I've screwed this up is what I'm trying to say. Don't screw it up, okay? Hey, listen, I've got a timeline here. You've literally got my notes that I've got in front of me. Let me try to see how this is laid out. Oh, it's literally page 1. I'm just going to go through some high points here, and then I've got to wrap up because Alyssa, I got to get going. You got to go to the bathroom. You got to do stuff. Okay. All right. So let me. Are you okay? All right. Listen, this is just dates and timelines, and so let's start with where we're going to end. All right, I'm going to do a series about sex or a message about sex in March. And so I just threw on some dates there. They're fictitious, but it's going to be in March, all right? And the reason why I'm doing that is because the benchmark in a secular realm is that they start talking about it in April, May. And so I believe that the church should help you navigate culture, not introduce you to culture, okay? A very important statement that I said, we help our families navigate culture, not introduce them to culture. And so you shouldn't learn what the world has to say before the church helped you navigate it. All right, I just think that we need the help. That's my thought around it. That's why we talk about it in March when we do. So I have a why. It's not willy-nilly. Here's the calendar. This is when we're going to talk about it. And then there's 3 avenues for my communication. It's important to know that. Who are you talking to? I think that helps. And so I need to talk to my leaders. They need to know how to talk about this. I need to talk to my parents. That's 2 avenues, and I need to talk to my kids. 3 lenses in which you and I communicate to all people in the youth realm. And so awareness starts about a month out. I'm talking about it a month out. And so both Sozo and Echo, here's some of the forms of awareness that we bring to them. We have a parent private group for just our community. I didn't know that you had that. It's probably because you're not in it. That's okay. It's for our community, where our youth directors can talk directly to their parents in a context of our size. I don't have any red tape. I don't have to worry about submitting you communication to go through our communication team. I can just message my parents and say, I'm believing for you. I'm praying for you. This is what's coming up in my heart. This movie came out. Be aware of this. I can start a community. That's the point of our Facebook Connect. We have that for our families. And so I do a video. From me, I actually have the scripts that I've attached for you of what I talk about. It's on the handout that you have. I wrote out the script for you, so you got exactly what I say. And then we post every video on YouTube unlisted. So that's very important. When I talk about sex with a middle schooler, I don't have somebody getting up and talking about sex. Have you ever felt the Lord lead you in a message and you just keep going? And you were reading the room, you were feeling the room, you were just leading in, and you became loose with your words? Let me help you, my friend. Not on this topic. Okay? Have some parameters for yourself. Write yourself the script of what you're going to say. Film that video and play said video in the service when you do when you have this series. And I actually send that to mom and dad in advance so they know what I'm going to say and they can watch it. I ask them, please don't share this with your child. We're going to go through this as a room, but you parent how you feel best to parent. You're the parent, I'm not. Okay? So I think that's really important. I put that in my communication. By the way, I gave you my email. What I write to the parents, I just want to give you everything that I got. And so we email them the why and the what we're covering. And so we go through that. We post that on our Parent Connect. We text them, I sent you an email. Because 20% open their emails, okay? So they're not checking their email. I emailed them. They didn't read it, okay? You're spam. No, I'm not. No, you are. So text them. 90% of people read their text messages except for me. And so I have... This is bad. 683. Listen. Okay, wow. I'm getting judged right now. Okay, hold on. Because 49 of those, listen, are voicemails, and then I call people back. I just am old school. I just call you. Okay. Hey, what did you do? So if you've got a 911, call me. Don't text me. That is not okay. So I'm done. I felt judged. Anyway. Okay, so text parents, they're probably not like me, all right? They're doing better than me. I got to work on that. And so, and then we have a middle school only, and we've got high school only. That's just how we do ministry. You got to do ministry the way that's right for you. Here's something I don't say to everybody, but I think is important when you have that parent that comes to you that's concerned. Deal with those on a one-on-one basis. Don't make a rule for the 1%. Okay, treat the 1% like a 1%. If you start hearing it from 10, 15 people in the ministry, well then tell okay, it's different. Treat them like one. So if you're not comfortable with the content that we're sharing, listen, I recommend that you go and discuss the content at home the best way that you feel. Watch the video together with your child. You do what you want to do, and then take your child into our adult main service under our lead pastor. Now, in our context at our church, Pastor John doesn't hold back. It might be better for your child to be in the youth ministry. We're going to have a little bit more structure, okay? And so he's going to introduce you to culture. I'm just saying, okay? And so he is pastoring, and we call him the Italian stallion, okay? He's bucking, he's kicking, he jumped the pen. He's going for it. And he's getting older. There is no filter. Your kids don't have filter. He don't have a filter. All right, so listen, if you're not comfortable, that's how I navigate that. And then it's also important when talking to parents, to know where you stand with your curriculum and how you got there. Listen, pastor approved this. And so I'm not doing something new. Our lead pastor at our church has approved our curriculum. He knows what I'm pastoring on, and he's approved it. And so in our context, I tell him this. So stand out in the hallway and get in front of Pastor John and tell him how much you hate me and you're so upset with me. You tell him, and you know what he'll tell them? Find a new church. Because he knows what we're talking about. I'm not in division. There's not two visions. I'm in alignment. And so I'm not doing anything that he didn't bless. All right, so that's important. And then within your curriculum, I think there's 3 lenses that you view that. There's foundational subjects that you have to instill. And you know what? Being pure in thought and action is a foundational subject you need to instill. And it starts before middle school. It starts in your children. And so how you navigate that is a little bit different, okay? And so you get what I'm saying. And then there's problems that they're going to face that are timely. Alyssa's telling me I got to wrap up. I'm almost done. I'm going to wrap up. 5 minutes, okay? Problems, resources. You resource those problems biblically, okay? There's cultural things that they're navigating. Help them navigate that culture. Don't introduce them. There's a timing of why I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Okay, and I've got statistics behind me, and I'm on the back end, unfortunately, of when we're navigating this, because if you started at 3rd grade or 8 years old, and I start in 5th grade, we're already behind, but that's okay. I gave you my parent and leader scripts. I literally here's a tip for you. If you're not great at videos, I want to help you become great. There's an app called Teleprompt on your phone that you could literally copy and paste what I wrote, put it into the Teleprompt app. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I'll open it for you. It is exactly what I said that it does. And so literally on my screen, it's a normal camera that I would talk to, and when I hit record, it's going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and my script's at the top. Leaders on March 10th. 13th and 14th, we're talking about sex. You can just see it. I tell you what, man, it's like you're so good, man. You got all the details. You darn right I did for this topic. I'm tired of your emails. You know, parents, I don't want them anymore. And so I am going to be scripted, and it's going to come right out of me. Your videos just got next level. I hope that helped. You use that anywhere you want, then upgrade it to Instagram. But okay, you do you. But there's my scripts for you, and then leaders, I want to equip them. I got to wrap up here. Examples of emails that we send out. I send the video, the hyperlink to the videos that I send. Hey, what message do you actually play in service? I gave it to you. It's literally that hyperlink. Click it. It is 14 minutes long. I am scripted. I've got this thing boiled down. It's really refined. Borrow it, take it. If you minister in the room, email me, text me, get my number. I'll send you the entire script. You can have the entire thing. It's yours. I don't care. Okay, say you came up. I don't care. Take it. It has helped me. It'll help your families. And then you've got literally the content that I send all of our leaders to equip them. This is not easy for a leader. They get into their head just like your parents do. I'm going to have the talk. Wait a minute. You're not having the talk in youth group. We're not doing that. We're navigating boundaries in youth group. This is not anatomy, okay? This is what God says about it. So you got to frame them. Don't you dare go there. Let's talk about what God has to say. So they're going to do this and navigate this when they're getting married. They're a long way away. Let's help them remain pure in thought and action. That's what you're helping. And then those that screwed up, let's talk about God's redemptive power and help them with boundaries going forward. There's grace. All right, so I literally give you everything that we've got. That's a lot of content. There's a lot of resources. And I'll close with this. You've got the hyperlink. The QR code has everything that your fingers can click on. You can go to it yourself. I gave you our plan as a template. Take it, make it better. I'd start about a month out. And then think about the students that have questions that might come up and your response to those in advance. And so when the kid comes to you, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about. You're going through puberty and you're a healthy dude. You're a healthy girl. Yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, sure. What's sex? Coach your leaders for those conversations. If you don't talk about it, they're going to resort to their lowest level of training. So if you haven't talked about it, what's going to come out of their mouth? That scares me, thinking about that. So equip them. Leaders, I don't know what you're talking about. Great. I'm so happy for you. What I want you to do is go home and talk about what we watched today with mom and dad. And they're going to help you navigate this further. and trust them that they're pure. And then for your leaders, you don't want your leaders describing it. No. Okay? And you don't want them being like how I did with other ministers. I can't believe they did that. Send them an email. Don't do that. Okay.